Okay, hey everybody. It is Thursday, May the 10th, and thanks for being on tonight. Tonight's a sad night for us. Just wanted to honor, it's a happy night as well, honoring Lori Anderson, who passed away last week. And I just wanted to kind of hear from you guys your thoughts. Some of you got to meet her for the first time. Zena, you just met her this summer and again. And just knowing, even if you haven't met her, what she meant to you. So I was just go ahead and share with you a little bit about, I did hear a little bit more that it was a cardiac pulmonary embolism. It was a blood clot. I don't know all the details, but I do know a little bit that it was heart, and it was sudden, and went up. So we got the news about, on Friday. It had happened on Wednesday night, Thursday morning, actually. So, and then just saw that the funeral, didn't know much. And so I was just in bed on Sunday evening, and I said, I have to go. I don't know, it was 11 o'clock at night. And so my husband, and we were talking about what we regretted, not doing and doing. And so I made reservations, left in the, first thing in the morning, and he got me a rental car and got me a hotel. But it was so one of the things that stood out for me was that on Sunday night at 11:30 at night, I could make a decision to leave Monday morning. We had having the money to do that at the last minute. I mean, it's not, it's expensive when you go that day, and two, having the time. And so I was thinking about that because, years ago, there was many celebrations and funerals we couldn't go to because of funds, or because we had commitments, work, and that sort of thing we couldn't miss. So that blessing that I got to, have, and when we're looking for other people to join us and what we have to offer, we do have a gift of being able to work from anywhere, that if someone has a sick family member, that they can actually go and be with them. I mean, that's huge to be able to do that. So I just wanted to put that out there. So got there, and the picture that I posted in Team Palace with the lake, that was the viewing, where the viewing was. And so Dr. A and Lori's mom, Dr. A's mom and Lori's sister were in line. I didn't see the kids, but it was very, it was crowded, and it was very sad. There was a number of Optavia people. One of the things that helped me go was that I found out Joe Pecoraro was doing the eulogy. And so I felt more comfortable going because I know him, but it turned out a lot of Optavia people were there, a number of them. And so it was very touching to get to see people, and then we all related in such a way, one of shock and two, just what she meant to us. And Dr. A was very present in line. I mean, when he is in line, and, he was in tears the whole time, but when he's talking to somebody, he is talking directly to you. And there was a young man in front of me. He was like a 20-year-old, 6-foot something kid, and was talking and was crying and talking about what Lori meant to him. And Dr. A doesn't take his eyes off the person he's talking to. And it was so sweet. You have potential, go for everything, that you have. And he was just always encouraging people to be their best, even in his pain. And he, when I talked to him, he was just that we're still committed. It makes him more committed than ever for this mission. So I think that that's so important, and that's who he is. And it's going to be very, very, very painful. The girls, everyone has their friends around, but the funeral was lovely. And walking out, the girls were on either side of him. I mean, the girls were carrying him. So it's just, we're all in shock. So I just wanted to, share kind of for you, hear what you guys, she meant to you. For me, she was very real. She was, she'd always greet you and say hi, and she was down to earth. It wasn't like she was, Miss Perfect or anything like that. She would be mad at him for, scheduling Sundance when she had a cheerleading competition with the girls. I mean, she had to juggle everything that we do with her kids. And she, but she would show up, and what I really admired, or what I'm going to take away from her, is that she never minded saying that she didn't know something. Like on the nurse call, if she didn't know something, she would just say, I don't know. Does anybody know? She would call up if she had a question, she would ask for help. And when we started doing events here in Atlanta, and people would hear about our events, and she, at one of the conventions, took me aside and said, hey, so tell me about your events. How do you do them? And she was always asking questions, and wanting to know, wanting to learn, wanting to grow. Never did she think she had all the answers. And we saw her from the beginning. I don't know if anyone's here for a long time, but she had to be kind of pushed on stage. To now, she's a wonderful teacher and speaker, but it wasn't always that. So seeing how she stepped into her role was another thing that I admire and want to emulate. One of the things that I took away was, for me, myself, when I had I remember Molly couldn't be on tonight. She's at a grandfather's dinner, but she lost a friend recently, maybe a year ago. And I didn't understand what she was going through. She kind of checked out. She was very, a little bit removed, and I didn't understand all that she was going through. And when Lori passed away, when we found out on Friday, I remember that life went on, but I wasn't there. I wasn't with life. I wasn't with everyone else. And so it made me have compassion. I remember calling Molly, I didn't get it until I get it. So I think that what I'm taking away is that having compassion for whenever a tragedy happens and something bad happens in our lives, that we can use it to have compassion, for other people. So does anyone want to jump in and share? Cindy, you want to start?
Hey there. I did not know Lori as intimately as Susan, but even just going back to a couple of weeks ago when we went to Go Global, and we were up there so close and looking at her on stage, and you could just truly see her love for being there and taking pictures of everybody out there. And I just know that, she created this, and she was in love with what she created. And for me, I am so grateful to her for her vision, along with Dr. A, because without them, there would be no us. And she gave, a multitude of gifts away to us in the world. And when I think about her passing, it's been so difficult to see her and Dr. A, who are just the perfect human beings, who are just giving to the world. They are the picture of health. And wow, how could that be? And how do we go on? But we're going to go on, and we're going to have Lori right in our heart. I forgot the other point, but it is. I have to think, but I feel like, for me, some really great loss like this, really reminds us of really the important things in life, and not to take any day for granted. So when I thank, the world or God or whatever for having this day, Lori is right there with me. And, who would have thunk it? So I have a deeper appreciation for waking up every morning. And, she was our age. She was a beauty. In, in every cell of her body.
And what was that last thing you said, Cindy?
I said she was a beautiful person in every cell of her body, and what she did was the essence of who she was. I mean, it's not someone else she became, it's who she was and was able to share just from her natural being. And that was a huge gift.
Yeah, really was. Thank you, Cindy. Zena, you got to meet her for the first time.
Well, actually, do you see me?
I don't see you, but we hear you.
I know. I don't know what happened. Oh, anyway, here I am. Anyway, first of all, thank you for going and representing all of us. And thank you for that. That felt good. I didn't get to meet her personally. I did get to meet Dr. A. And so I didn't get to talk to her. But when she came up on stage, like the first night, I mean, she was just natural. She wasn't all dolled up. I mean, she was just being a human being. Just, it was so real. And what I really, Dr. A, every time he was on stage or every time he introduced her, it was the First Lady of Optavia, the love of my life, my soulmate. It always was that. How he would say, you wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Lori. So that I really heard every time. And the last day was the Dr. A Unplugged. I don't know if anybody was there, but he was talking about how I think she wasn't there or she had left or whatever, but he had to get his room together and pack his stuff. And it was just not easy for him without Lori. She does so much of this stuff. So he really, I mean, every time he ever spoke, he brought her into that moment. And that was the big thing. I mean, he talked about that, his suitcase was there and how he had to grab things and things that she did. So, I just think, seeing her last post and what she said and everybody I've talked to in these last few days, it gives me more reason and more heartfelt and everything about what I'm doing and saying and feeling to everyone with Lori in my mind and my heart. And I know that she will always be there. And even I did not personally meet her, she certainly made a big impact in my life.
Thank you, Zena. What you said is really cool, that he does every single time since the beginning. He is always my best friend, and really just holds her in such high regard. And that he did that again. I mean, it's such, and it is going to be, as tough as it is for the girls, for him. I mean, she ran the whole, she had coaches and clients, and she was the one. And she's coached the nurse call last night was very, very good. And there were some stories on there that if you have time to listen to it, really cool, who she was, to just clients, to everybody. So thank you for sharing that, what you saw on stage. And it was, you're exactly right. Julie, you've been around to so many events for some years. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts. And
yeah, I saw it literally like 2 seconds after he posted it last Friday. And I texted Dee and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I literally could not believe it. Like, it was like getting punched in the gut. So anyway, I literally was getting a pedicure and like just started crying in the pedicure chair because I'm like, I can't imagine what they're going through. But my first thought was seeing all Dr. A's. I never got to meet her, but just hearing and seeing her on Facebook and watching them and watching their posts, like, it just reminded me is how they lived it up. I mean, they enjoyed their days together. And I guess because my parents are at retirement age, and it really hit me hard thinking about it, because I was like, those girls are not going to get to enjoy their parents together in retirement years and all that. But thank God they had the opportunity because of Optavia to go travel, to live on the water, to go on the boat whenever they wanted, to go down to, where did they go? Like the Galapagos Islands. I mean, all kinds of incredible trips that they got to do because of Optavia. And that just was like, whew, thank God they could enjoy their life together. Even though they won't be together for retirement years, at least they could enjoy life married and living free.
Well, that's exactly right. I love what you shared, that they had so many great memories together.
And it was apparent. They shared it all on Facebook, and that was neat, as just somebody that gets to watch in, you know?
Yeah. And, it's funny because she was so like, she had all the roles, she was a wife, a mother, a health coach. And like she used to say, like, okay, he's an owl, like he stays up late, and she's like the morning person, the lark, and he wants to watch a movie, late at night. And so she's got to be, a good wife. And I know, like my husband, Andy, he's a night owl. And so when he has to, watch a movie, you kind of want to, but you want to go to bed. So it's just like all those different roles. And, she's had to leave, Sundance and come back for the girls, prom or something like that. So it's, normal, just like us, even though they created a great mission. And this is kind of interesting. So just so y'all know that it just doesn't come easy for everybody. And I don't know the whole story, but Dr. A, Lori's brother, poo-pooed the program for years. Poo-pooed it. Said, what are they selling? It's snake oil. And it wasn't until, I guess, one of the family members got on and their life was saved because of the program, that they came around. But in other words, he had resistance in his family, and his mother too. He spoke about how she didn't always understand him. And so what it speaks to me is that they've made the decisions that they've made and the choices. They've come against many, many different obstacles that we all face every day. Gosh, do we, are we tired? Do we want to go on? Someone said no. And not everyone agrees with us. And they made those same choices. So it really does put things in perspective, that it doesn't always come easy for anybody. So I thought that was just something, a reminder. Courtney, you saw from afar. Are you there, Courtney? You look frozen. Kent.
Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah, we can.
All right. Well, a couple of things. I was absolutely totally saddened by it. I mean, I was amazed at how impacted I was by that, which to me says that it's just such a great, close-knit community. I had talked to Lori briefly at convention and briefly at Go Global. And the only time I've ever met her or Dr. Anderson, it was the same thing. We're walking down the hall. We're the only two people there. So I just introduced myself and talked to him briefly, But she's just one of those people that in a short time you can just sense, she loves people. She's got it together. it's not about her. It's about serving others. Selfless comes to mind. And I got to thinking about it, why do bad things like this happen to good people? And there's never a great answer for that. I mean, I've done so many funerals and, seen so much out there. There's never a good answer for that. And so in my mind, I think sometimes maybe God takes us when we are as perfected as we can be, and when we've, transcended the limitations in life in this world, and we're ready for the next. And I think she definitely was one of those people who's ready for the next. And I think that, wow, whenever I pass, we're all going to pass, we're all going to die sometimes, just a matter of how. And I love the fact that she passed away in the prime of her life, bringing it, loving people, changing lives, giving. She didn't have to go sitting in a wheelchair in a nursing home. She didn't have to go after a 10-year bout with Alzheimer's. I mean, that's kind of the way I want to go, just take it to the streets up until your last days, and you die with your spouse in bed. I mean, it's sad and tragic in a way, but it's also beautiful and transformative and wonderful that, she lived a life like that and got to go with everybody remembering her at her peak.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Kent. That's well said. And that, a lot of people have that same thought that, look, she was, God takes her when she's she's ready. And I think, it is comforting. And I love what you said, how beautiful it was that she died in her sleep at her prime, next to her husband, and having fulfilled a mission that they had for this company to go international and for it to grow and expand and touch lives. So yeah, you never know the reason, and God's got a bigger plan than we know of now. So I like celebrating and seeing the beauty of it, recognizing that. So thanks. Debbie, do you want to share?
Can't.
I cannot. Oh, you're driving.
Okay, no. Okay, you unmuted me. Then I can. I just can't touch the computer. My impression of her, I've never seen her face not in a smile.
Yeah.
She exuded love, and you could see it. Her mission was to love people and help them and just make lives better. But there was just nothing ever that I ever saw in her that was anything other than good and kind and just wanting the best for other people. And yeah, the love that I saw between Dr. A and Lori that's the kind of marriage people want. When you see people that are big fans of each other constantly. And I loved her. I didn't know her, and I loved her. Mm-hmm. So yeah, she was my role model. And I feel like, I think her passing is maybe something to give me even more incentive to stop holding back and stop, doubting and stuff, just to go and be like that.
I love that because she, like I say, from where she was this past, the Global Lord Convention to where she started, night and day. And so I love that, we all have that ability to make a difference for someone else, and getting past our fears and getting over our, our stuff and focusing on other people, what Kent said, and not just ourselves. So yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Debbie. Very inspiring. Amy, do you want to say anything, share anything?
Well, community. And
Wait. Can you repeat it? We didn't hear you. You got muted by accident.
okay, so I was going to say I've never met her. I didn't see much of her activity, but what has touched me and what I'm so impressed by is the sense of community and how everybody else has been touched by her. And that's really nice and comforting. And you mentioned something about watching her grow, but that's something that I see in general with Optavia. Everybody that's involved grows. And I don't know if that's something that started with her, but that's a theme. That's a common theme. So that's really nice.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it. It kind of is when you sign up. It kind of puts you in a position to grow, and I think that's why it attracts people that are willing to do, to do the hard work and the heart work, because that's kind of growing isn't an easy thing. If there's contractions,
Right.
And,
well, I was going to, even if somebody is, I want to say just a client, but doesn't want to be a coach, even when you see somebody going through their transformation, there is such a change and so much growth, and it's amazing.
yes, beautiful. Well, there was a story that was spoken last night about, because when Lori first started, when Dr. A, brought this program, and Brad McDonald, Medifast was a medical company, and he was really nervous about health coaches that were not medical professionals coaching people. Like, he was worried that they say something, how can someone who's not a medical professional do this? Because, Medifast was only in physicians' offices. So Lori had to oversee every single client for the first year or two. So there was a client who spoke last night, and she said she was a client, she had MS, and was just talking, and then finally, Lori was always very nice and never let on who she was. Like, she coached her for years and never let on who she was. Well, she went to it took her a long time to realize that this was Dr. A's wife, and very unpretentious, you wouldn't know it. And she saw her at convention last year. She was a client who came to convention, and she saw the name tag. They were standing at the elevator. Can't, just like you say, it's in the hallway or in the elevator. And she saw her name tag, and she said, "Oh my gosh, how are you? You're here." And just went on. And how's your back? And, remembered. And she said, "Oh, I never travel without my heating pad. Do you want it? Can I run up to my room and get it for you?" That's the person she was. She's sitting there with, Dr. A, just like you're talking about, Kent. And that's who they are. And it is a community, and people care a lot about each other. And you could see it at the funeral, at convention, and we'll carry that mess. Like I say, the company's going to get bigger, but let's us in and of ourselves carry that message and be who she was, and make everybody feel welcome when they come into our community. So I know everyone on this call does that. So, any other questions about the funeral or? All right, everybody. Yes.
So I was gonna ask real quick. Did they fly from the DR down? Was there a huge group that came?
It wasn't huge, but there were, I think, maybe 10.
That's awesome.
Isn't that wild? They chartered a plane.
Wow.
And they flew in. I was like surprised. And there were people that came in a couple coaches came in from California and the West Coast. And some of them from the East Coast drove. So it was really, and Mona was there.
Aww.
Meg, Leo, was anyone around with Leo Williams? That was before y'all's time, but so it was really very special to see people come and honor her.
The other question I was going to ask is, Dr. A gonna take a little sabbatical or anything?
I got to tell you, I was really happy that they did the Saturday call last week, because I would have taken a sabbatical for, and it could be easy how you could just go away, and not feel like doing anything and so I'm really glad, because once you get into why we're doing what we're doing, we can get back into it and find purpose and meaning into it. But I don't know the answer to that. My guess is no. My guess is he's throwing it all into his passion. I think whether that's a defense mechanism or, that he's more committed than ever. And but I would think he would. I can see both ways. I don't know, Julie.
It'll be interesting. I'm just curious.
Me too.
Obviously, we'll understand either way.
The other thing that's interesting is what happens to the business, in terms of how do you run a business, and as you're all outgrowing your businesses, our business is willable to somebody, but, someone's got it. Your coaches will run by themselves, the ones that are, committed, they don't need, everyone here on this line doesn't need me to run their business, but my clients are very personal. Those are our more relationship oriented people. So you can will your business to your heirs. But it's going to be an interesting thing. They're going to need a lot of support and help, because they won't have a mentor. Dr. A, it's hard being on his team because he's not available. So Lori was the one. So we'll wait and see about that too. So I'm not sure. Maybe he'll step into that role.
How could he? I mean, he just does so much. That's kind of the question. I mean, it doesn't seem like the most important question right at this minute, but how is that going to work? How could he take over what she did when he's, got this humongous vision and where he's going with this company? He would have to be superhuman to do both of their jobs at once. So I guess it's going to be interesting to see how that rolls out.
Yeah, and really, having a lot of compassion for those people, because it's like, I think what it does, I read something on the way up there, I think, is, we are in business for ourselves. It's stepping up and taking responsibility for our business. And yeah, it stinks and we could easily go away, but we can also get stronger too.
And I think their community will rally around them and pick up the pieces and hold it all up for them until they figure it out. And that's the beautiful part. Like, I bet you there's a million people stepping in to say, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it. And that's incredible.
Exactly. And then that we have the Saturday trainings, and I know Doug Wood, I was talking to him and he was saying how he wants, we're all a community, and that we need to do more of that, more community oriented training and that sort of thing. So it'll be really interesting and tough. And I think that those people, we'll send a lot of prayers to them too.
So about, kind of giving, I know she wanted, to the SPCA or whatever that she was into. So we'll just all do that personally. Is there something else that you want to do as a team to show Dr. A some love or something, just something special for him? Or I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I feel like I want to do something a little bit more.
Good idea. I didn't even think of that, Cindy. Kent, do you have any idea? I think that's great. I'll do the SPCA from Team Palace. If you want to do your own, you can. I don't know. I could list all of the names of our team, but then maybe you're right for Dr. A. Anyone have any ideas?
some home cooked meals for his lean and greens, So, he's, I mean, just think of him going shopping and, I don't know if the girls live at the house, and I'm sure the people around their home they'll probably have more food now than ever, but, I don't know, I don't know. I'll think about it.
Well, I was just
A little bit more personal. I mean, I'll be happy to give to the ASPCA, but just really something a little bit more to the heart.
Yeah. I like it. Let's think about that. And I said I can ask one of his neighbors. I know one of his neighbors, and I can ask, and I'll ask a few people about that. That's a good. I like that idea. Like that.
Do they live in Baltimore?
They do.
Okay.
They do. They live in Baltimore. Don't know if it's outside of Baltimore, but. Anyone else have any ideas or thoughts? All right, it's late. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing, and it'll be an interesting journey and one that we'll learn and grow from, right, Amy? Whether we want to or not, we're growing. So, Zena, hold on. What? Hold on, Zena. Can you unmute? Wait a minute, Zena, unmute yourself. You're trying.
Wait, there you go. It was in the way and I couldn't get it. With convention in July, do you think, I mean, at that point, do you think that he will be there as?
I do.
Before?
I definitely think he will be there in July. No question in my mind. I mean, again, I can be wrong, but I think that this means so much to him, and they've worked so hard. But I think there'll be a big tribute to her there. I can't imagine he won't be. He has taken time off, to Julie's point, and gone sailing and maybe 2 weeks at a time, but he's writing the new Updated Habits of Health and creating this big project. And so I think that he'll be throwing his energy into that. That'd be my read. That's what I saw, that's where he was coming from. He's got to be in shock, though. How can you even be standing up? I don't know. But so I think he will be.
Again, thank you for going.
Oh, yeah. I was really happy that I went. I was really, really happy that I went. And, very, very, very happy. So thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thanks, Susan. I think Zena was really spot on with that you represented us, and I really appreciate that. I think it's comforting just to leave what's on my heart. I just feel like this woman is in the heart of more people than we could even imagine. And she's just going to live on through so many people. And that's a little comforting on my side to know that she lives. She lives through so many.
Yeah, very well said. Great way to end. All right, good night, everybody. Thanks.
Good night.
Night. Bye-bye.